Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. We're Nicolette and Brian, and we travel full-time in our camper van.
Yeah, today we got kind of a big conversation to have. It's something we've been thinking about for a while.
And we know some of you have been thinking it as well.
Before we get into that, if you're new to our channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you get updates when we upload a new video. Traveling was some of the best times ever.
Obviously, we do face some adversity because of my wheelchair. Brian and I push past that adversity, and we have a great time just enjoying life to its fullest.
The last 5-6 months, Nicolette has experienced medical issues, and they were unexpected. This is beyond Nicolette being in a wheelchair. So we're going to talk about whether or not medical issues will make us quit van life.
It's been a beautiful journey that was sadly cut very short due to a major health issue that I'm having, and we definitely did not expect that, at least so soon into it.
You got a hole in your butt.
When we were in Oklahoma, I noticed that I had a pressure wound, and it's actually more serious than we thought it was initially.
At first, Nicolette's like, hey, I found something. I don't want you to be concerned. I'm gonna let you sleep in a little, but I did find something. I'm gonna have to get it checked out.
The conclusion to all of that was that I do have a stage 4 pressure ulcer, osteomyelitis, which is a bone infection to my bone. It's been kind of a long journey to figure that out, but that is what is keeping us from travel. Causes a lot of issues for van life for so many different reasons.
Going from Nicolette finding a diamond to being in a beautiful place to us rushing to the emergency room, spending a week in the hospital, both of us.
So there's a lot of ways that having a major medical issue can put a huge damper on your van life journey, and it has definitely done that to us. We have to stay relative to the hospital that I'm getting care at, and that's been a huge struggle in itself.
It was a struggle when we were in hospital in Texas. It was a struggle when we were doing some pretty serious home care in our camper van in Texas near the hospital. I mean, we did the PICC line, we did the wound vac.
All of that in our van.
All of that in our van, yeah. We always tried to make the best of it, but we had to stay close to the hospital. Within an hour, realistically.
And not only that, but it was like almost unsafe to travel and justify traveling too far. I'm riding in the back and just didn't want to, you know, push it too much with that. So staying relative to the area and just putting a total damper on our plans to go out west and see all the national parks and continue mining was definitely the biggest struggle.
And now we're in Pennsylvania and we have to stay relatively close to the hospital, even more so because Nicolette's getting surgery.
Yep, and that is the most difficult part, is we built this van to travel and we're not traveling. So that part's a little difficult.
It's okay,
we're a little stir crazy. We're kind of stuck more in the van. We never expected that when we were building the van. Like, oh, we're going to be in such a small space, but we're going to be out doing all these outdoor activities and living our lives. So we're just going to be coming back here to sleep. Well, reality hit, and here we are, cooped up in our van for a lot of the time, and that part has sucked for both of us.
It sucked. Yeah, it sucked in some ways. I've gained weight. So that's like one way.
We both gain weight. We're working on that now because we're both like, yo, we've definitely gained weight and like gotten a little lazier.
I don't know if Nicolette gained weight, but she had to eat more protein and stuff to try to heal the wound. The first few months of Nicolette's medical issues, we tried to get her to heal it on her own. So she changed her diet. She started eating 100 grams of protein a day. She did everything that the doctor said for her to do. And then we finally realized, after getting the proper testing from the current hospital, that she can't heal on her own.
Yeah, it was never going to happen because there's always been osteomyelitis there on that area, so it's not going to heal. So that was all for nothing. Great.
Not being able to travel, though, is something that does make us feel like we're in limbo a little bit.
Like a little stir crazy, a little limbo-y, a little...
Like van life
purgatory
or something. And that's why we made this video. It's like, you know, will these medical issues get the best of us? Will they make us quit van life and go a different direction in life? Or not?
Our initial reaction to this happening was like, okay, we're just going to deal with this. But then now, 6 months post, we're wondering, you know, what do we do? Do we continue this life and continue van life, or do we get an apartment and kind of deal with the realities of our life right now? Maybe something that we don't talk about a lot is the emotional impact that this has on us, both separately and as a couple. From the first moment that I discovered that I had a pressure ulcer, immediately filled with this emotion of dread, and I felt so terrible for the things that I knew I was about to put us through, because I knew that we worked so hard to build this van. We both worked so hard to get to the point of travel. Like, it seemed like it was never coming, and then it finally does, and then this happens. So I was just filled with like a lot of guilt and dread, and I didn't even want to tell Brian. Like, there was a part of me that was like, I'm just gonna live with this and never mention it because I don't want to bring it up and like spoil the party. The emotion that comes with that is a lot, and it's been a lot to deal with, and I know it's weighed on us separately and as a couple, but ultimately, while having, you know, days that aren't so great, we always seem to come to a middle ground and just support each other and make it through every little situation that we've been through so far. So that part's really nice.
The exact moment that Nicolette told me, like, hey, I have something going on, I guess the first emotion that I felt was like my heart kind of dropped. And I was worried and concerned, and I said, oh, like, are you okay? Like, do we need to go to the hospital immediately? My prominent emotion was concern. You know, I don't really care what we do in life as long as Nicolette's healthy and happy and okay. So I was concerned. I was a little stressed out for her. I was stressed out for her situation because it's not like we were close to what we're familiar with. It's not like we have the best health insurance. My role is to be a supportive partner that keep spirits up if I can. So I don't know if I did a good job on that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Yeah, the exact moment she told me, it was just concerning. I was a little sad that she was going to deal with this, and that, you know, our life was going to pause a little bit until this was done, because I knew that it was serious enough for that. Now the heavy part.
And it's been weighing on us since this happened. This
is where we came together and we had a conversation, an ongoing conversation on, you know, do we keep doing van life, or do medical issues make us quit van life? In order to do that, we had to weigh out the pros and the cons. We had to consider the length of time. We had to consider what our 5-year plan is and our long-term goals as a couple, as individuals.
We had to consider everything we've invested into this. Do we just give that up, or do we stick it through? And after 6 months of dealing with this, it was time to have a conversation and just really come to a conclusion and have a plan. Like, what do we do about this situation?
No matter what, we have to get an apartment for at least 1 month, month and a half, 2 months, for Nicolette to recover from surgery. That's not a factor in our decision. That has to happen for safety reasons and stability, and to make sure she heals to the best of the ability. And to be able to
have the proper bed I need, and just, that's happening no matter what. Like, we have to do that. The question is, are we going to return to van life after that? Or do we think this is too much? What do? We weighed out the pros and cons, which I think you should do in any situation, so that's exactly what we did. A pro of keeping the van is we keep our investment. We've invested almost a year, $60,000.
Less than 60, but like $54,000.
About $50,000. Blood, sweat, tears, all that into this van. We'd invested giving up our jobs, giving up our lives, giving up our apartment, literally everything into the van, basically. So if we stay in the van, we keep all that, and we don't have to throw away that huge investment we made.
And I would be willing to throw that away if Nicolette told me, you know what, I can't do van life anymore. It's just, it's not for me. It's too hard for me. My heart's not in it. I would be willing to give up our investment. I can go work. I can be an electrician. I could do anything and
really would, so
make life happen for us. And so can she. I mean, Nicolette's worked a lot of her life, so, you know, we could make it happen. Our investment isn't the major decision, but it's definitely a factor to consider.
Another pro is we don't have to give up on our dream of traveling. So while we could get another van if we sold it and got an apartment, we don't want to give up that dream, because a lot of times when you say you're going to do something and you plan on doing something, and a lot of the times those things don't actually happen because you think that you have all this time, but you don't.
For the best parts of life, there is these troubles and trials and tribulations to reach your goals. I do think if we get through this, a pro is that, you know, there's something good waiting for us on the other side.
So true. Another pro is it actually does make this situation better. Van life and medical issues, while it does have its difficulties, it also allows me to have more freedom while having these medical issues than in the past when I had an apartment. Because I've seen beautiful places and done beautiful things that just wouldn't have been possible if our bed wasn't right in the back here.
medical issues can be temporary. Our life, though, is our whole life. And it's something we really have to consider is, if there's a year of medical issues, is that so crazy in the grand scheme of the next 10 years? I'm willing to put down a year towards making sure my life partner is healthy and to get a few years of us, you know, living out our dream. I'm always going to be willing to do that.
The main pros are that it's easy to get back to van life after we deal with our medical issues and get that apartment, Brian said, you know, for about month to 2 months that we have to get no matter what.
For surgery.
Because like Brian said, there's a year of kind of limbo. Do we really give up all of our dreams for that just to make our lives easier during this time?
We did make a decision.
Ultimately, we did.
We weighed out the cons, and the cons really were the same cons that we started with when deciding, do we want to do van life?
Yeah,
I don't think the cons have changed too much.
Really, the cons are just small space while not being able to get out as much. Definitely isn't great. It can make you go a little stir crazy, especially if you can't open up the doors. So that's why we try to stay places where we can do that. Harder to navigate medical life and doing all these medical things while full-time traveling. It definitely is harder, and that's a con, but harder doesn't always mean, you know,
worse.
Worse, yeah. Harder doesn't always mean worse. It just means harder, and we're not
sometimes
totally afraid of that.
Sometimes that's the right path.
Yeah.
The harder path usually is what you should be doing.
True. If your path's a little too easy, you should probably question that a little. Like, am I really putting myself out of my comfort zone enough to achieve my dreams or, you know, get to a next step in life? Chances are, if you're a little too comfortable, probably not.
So, our ultimate decision is we're not quitting van life.
We're not going to quit.
There's no shot. There's like 0% chance.
So basically, no, we're not giving up our dream just because early on into it, we had a hardship. And it's a long hardship, but just because you have hardship doesn't mean you should quit something.
Didn't get to experience what we set out to do yet.
No.
And after Nicolette heals from surgery, through the aftermath of surgery, and
the aftercare and healing,
a month in the apartment, we both do, and then come back to the van, I think that's when our true van life journey is going to start. And I think it's great that all of you are here supporting us during this hard time, but we hope that you're also here when we're living out our dreams.
So weird. If you look at the big picture and you're like, whoa, this is a lot to deal with. Like, how do we even deal with that? And it might make you quit and run away if you look at that. But really, we've just taken it day by day and stuck to our dream and what we love and what we feel we want to do.
Sorry for taking so long to tell you, but we're not quitting van life. You don't have to worry about that. You can keep following our adventure. We got a little bit of a hiccup. Nicolette's going to heal. She's going to get surgery. We believe in her doctor. And we will be in an apartment, and we'll show you that. But we'll be back in our van, and we'll be out there adventuring. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Nicolette to heal, first and foremost. But I'm excited for what comes after.
Yeah, we're actually excited now because we have a plan, we know what we're doing, and we get back to our lives. So it's an exciting time, really. It's
and
exciting.
We believe in it.
We
believe in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the biggest step. We're not going to quit just because it's hard right now. And we hope that some of you guys can take that message with you for any situation you might be in.
All right, we'll see you next episode.
If you like this video and you want to see our surgery journey and our journey after that, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can get updates. We do upload every week.
We would love to hear your thoughts on our choice to keep doing van life despite medical issues.
Yeah,
leave
what
that
do you
in the
guys
comments.
think about that? Like, would you choose to give up van life and go home? Do you think we're crazy because we're not going to give up van life just because it might be harder? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, and we've started putting some exclusive videos on our for our members.
Mention the membership tag. We're not
right at the end.
No, we're not big enough.
Oh
yet.
my God.
All right.